guide them and facilitate them. And I think this is something that needs to be addressed.
If you don't mind, I'm going to hit the record button because some of your
Sure.
points are very appropriate.
Sure, no problem.
So what I want to say, I want to ask your opinion here, because I have done presentations on this particular topic in a very broad area. And
Sure.
it started out with small groups, parents and their kids. I've done it for middle schools, high schoolers. I've done it for church youth groups. And in academia, specifically middle school and high school, I say that the institution itself, the school, is not benevolent. The people within the institution, such as yourself, are benevolent, that you want to help kids overcome and be aware of some of these issues.
It's true.
It's not your job. This is a parental responsibility.
Exactly.
Parents are shirking that responsibility and saying it's the school's responsibility. So I want to partner with the schools and say, this is not the institution's requirement to do this. I love that they have teachers that are passionate to help protect kids, but parents, you need to step up.
Yep.
So is that a fair way of assessing where you are?
I concur with that, because I think there need to see the responsibility shift. It's a shared responsibility rather than rather than shove all the responsibility to school or the school administrator. I think doesn't make sense, because as much as the family institution itself is the one who nurtured them from young, and therefore after they come back from school, there needs to be a continual guidance as well as supervision in some way, rather than just like, okay, here are the tools, you can just use it without any supervision. I think that is the very lethal way of exposing teenagers to technology. Seriously, I feel that it is it makes or break, because you can use it to definitely help to advance the teenagers for the future. But at the same time, if it's not being used properly, it could definitely damage them in sense of the identity, the future, and everything.
I put a link to what I have put together for my Periscope audience and gaining access to these resources. So I'm sharing that with you.
Thank you.
This is my passion about how to protect children in an internet connected age. And my target audience is parents. Now, because I'm on Periscope, I get occasional kids that come in there as well, and I talk to them as well. So I wear two different hats. But my mantra is three platforms. If I said this already, it's about increasing awareness, having parental oversight, and having controls. You need all three.
Yep.
You're connected to the internet and you put a device in their hands that gives them instant access to anything in the world, from porn to video games to access to Wikipedia, that parents can't hide their head and say, this is going to sound anecdotal, cliche, but I hope my children are safe, without a plan is a wish. So you wish that your children were safe. And 90% of the parents in my participation online and what I say are reactive. They're only involved when a trauma occurs. They've been cyberbullied. It's too late.
Too late for it. Yep.
And you can't get the toothpaste back in the tube.
Exactly.
I just did a Periscope about that last night. And
I'm glad that you're doing this, really, because what happened is that most of the speaker or consultant, when they deal with issue like this, they usually approach the institution, and the way you approach it is superb, because it is the parents who are supposed to understand that they have such pivotal role in this.
Now, I'm going to tell you something about the human condition, that parents don't want to hear this message. Very small percentage, because they would prefer to live in the land of unicorns and fairies and rainbows.
Unfortunately.
That's very true, because awareness requires action, oversight requires action, and control requires action. And parents
Exactly.
have been socialized that
Mhm.
let me put the kid in front of the TV to be the babysitter as opposed
Yeah.
to be actively engaged with their kids. So, as much as I am passionate about what I am doing, the
Mhm.
message is going to be received by a very small audience.
Yep.
And those that are really committed to the family dynamic.
So, just curious. So far, since you started this initiative, so do you actually organize it in a school, or you collaborate in a school organization?
So what I started out doing was doing small groups, and
Right.
it started with maybe 10, 15 people, and my largest audience was over 1,000.
Wow.
So I would do a shock and awe presentation to
Mm.
expose how dangerous it is based upon real life stories and events and videos.
Mhm.
And then after my hour or hour and a half presentation,
Mhm.
I would be bombarded with people afterwards
Yeah,
during
the
the
shock
question.
effect is really effective. Seriously.
It was very effective.
Hmm.
But my problem was that after the presentation, there wasn't enough time available for me to address the huge amount of concern that I exposed.
Hmm.
So I said, listen, I can set up an appointment and I can sit down and talk with you, or I can host a webinar and talk to a group of you.
Yeah.
So when I started, for the past year and a half, I've been creating curriculum lessons.
Great.
And that's what that link is. It's a link to the site that has over 300 and some odd lessons, downloads, research papers, presentations, talking about the psychology of the brain and watching porn, all kinds of very diverse. It's
Right.
a one-stop destination to deal with all the known digital threats and the new ones that I find out about.
Yeah.
So when I did the presentation at the school,
Mhm.
the demand was so great that I couldn't get back engaged to the 200, 300, 400
I can
people.
imagine. Really, this is
And
something revolutionary.
right. And then at the same time, they wanted to fix the problem, but they didn't want to pay for my gas or the tolls that it would take for me to get there. They wanted me to give it to them for free.
Oh,
And
that's too bad.
but
It's not
that's
worth it,
okay.
right?
That's my mission. I will contribute of my charitable time on how to help people.
Right.
So when I took all of this data and put it together, I said, instead of me getting to your school or going to your youth group or going to your the Chamber of Commerce or whatever, I said, I'll host a webinar and have people come into the webinar. I'll do the shock and awe. And if we want to break down into small groups in another webinar, I'll do that in 5, 6,
Excellent
8,
move.
10 people.
Excellent
But
move.
all of my points are identified in my website. Each of
Right.
these lessons, any question you could ask, how do I secure my kid at home? Well, this is the tip of the day. Use OpenDNS as step one. Secure your home network. And then I talk about all the dangerous apps. I talk about identity theft. I talk about video games and video game addiction. I talk about in academia, you have children with special needs that are on the spectrum. How do
Yep.
you deal with the children on the special needs side? Don't take them away from technology, empower them. So that's a roundabout way of answering your question.
That's interesting because you know what? I've been on Black for almost 2 weeks now, and I've talked to some of their users who are facing disabilities.
Yes. Yeah.
There are some with visual impair
Yeah.
and also
Michael.
cerebral palsy. So I think
Yeah.
it's great because I think not every parents they realize that there is a medium for the kids to voice out and give awareness about all this. And that means we are turning and using technology to advantage rather than, saying that, okay, how are you going to use this to voice out what are the advantages and the opportunities that we can get from using the internet,
And technology it's a double-edged sword because there's so much that we can benefit from the use of technology. But
Right.
then on the other side of the equation, you have people that use it for evil. So I've been in blab sessions where a guy comes in, joins a seat, and he's doing something sexually inappropriate, and I have to kick him
Really?
right out. Oh
Oh
yeah,
my God, that's
yeah.
terrible.
But that's what, if you're connected to the internet, you're anonymous, and
Yeah,
that stuff is going to happen.
exactly. Like there are so many anonymous chat where like strangers meet up, and also Omegle, I think. Yeah, because
Yes.
my high school student, they were talking about it, and I basically just take one lesson for that day, and just rather than preach them about it, I would just show them these are the effect. These people have been tricked, they have been raped, date raped, and everything. And if you're not wary of how things are, we are not just they simply don't see it the way we do. They feel that we are simply old fashioned, or just don't want them to really enjoy the freedom online. But I think this is something that parents need to know as well, because I'm a parent myself. So it is something
Me
which
too.
is, I think it's something that which need to be addressed, but not many parents, maybe they know, but they just like put a bad lid on, and just think
Well,
that
it's
yeah,
it's
school will solve it, you know.
but and what I'm finding is that I have to refine my message that this is a parental responsibility, and I understand from my own dynamic what it
Right.
takes for me to be aware and to oversee my child's activities, and it's
Yeah.
work. It really is, and there
How do you
friction
do that?
occurs.
How do you do that?
How do
How
I
do
do
you
that?
with your kids?
Well, I have one daughter who is 14,
All right.
and I had her secured on her phone when she first got it.
All right.
She experienced a trauma on the phone because of some bad kid. And then I got hypervigilant. That was a catalyst for a conversation and
Right.
establishment of rules, reinforcement of rules.
Mm-hmm.
So that has been an ongoing conversation with my daughter that
Great.
I have to have it every single day because I'm
Wow.
looking at her phone every single day. And I've got hard controls that I've got set up, and I see all her texts, I see all her photos, and I can't assume that she is safe. There's no
Yep.
way I can assume she's safe.
Exactly. Exactly.
So
I think
when I
making
can,
assumption is the one that's causing all these issues with kids nowadays, you see? Because we assume that, yeah, you know, they've been taught about all this cybersecurity and all the netizens etiquettes online, but it doesn't work that way, because they felt that, well, nothing happened to me, so why should I worry? I think that's something that, yeah, that's kind of
so
scary.
my last Periscope, I had, I don't know, maybe 600 people online, and I said, let me hit the pause button and ask a question. I'm going to ask you a question.
Right.
And I said, cyber predators, you know, cyber predators exist. Where is what geographic area in our country has the highest concentration per square mile of child predators? Per square mile, where is the largest concentration of child predators? And take a guess and see if you can guess where that would be.
Somewhere in big cities, perhaps?
You would think from a statistical, scientific
Yeah.
standpoint, it would be based upon that.
Yeah.
When I tell you the answer, you're going to go, oh my gosh.
I'm interested to know.
5 mile radius of Walt Disney World.
Oh my God. That is so scary. That's very shocking. I wouldn't actually expect an answer.
So
Wow.
where would a child predator want to go where there's the
Of
highest
course.
concentration of children?
Yes, exactly.
And
Wow.
they
I never
blend
thought
right
of that
in.
way.
So when I tell people that answer, I get a very similar reaction. They're like, "Oh my gosh, it makes sense, but I never thought of that." So when parents are at Disney World, assuming that it's safe, it's Disney,
Yeah.
it is
Yep.
the largest center for child abduction in the country.
Wow.
And you
Definitely
can,
unaffected.
yeah. And so when I make those kind of statements, I say, I'm not making this stuff up. This is based upon the research I've done. You can go read the research on your own, which I don't think you will. You'll prefer the soundbite and as opposed to see what it says.
It's interesting that you mentioned that, because you know what? I like the openness of lab itself, because you can simply just join in any conversation they like, rather than Google Hangout where you need to be invited. It's pretty much closed discussion. But
Yes.
one thing that comes to my concern is that because let's say we are talking about minor here, and they just enter blab, and then there are some blab which is quite, I would say it's very um
It's not
they are
age
very vivid.
appropriate.
Yeah, and some of the issues are kind of graphic as well as inappropriate. So I think that is, rather than saying okay you can't do this, I felt that maybe there's need to, for parents to understand that there are going to be these issues or this topic being discussed online, and sometimes you can't just stop it. It's there. So how are you going to deal with that with your kids? So this is something
That's
I think, yeah.
well. Are you familiar with the tool called Chat Roulette?
Yeah, I've seen it before, but I never tried it. So is it something to do, like, is it quite similar to Omegle or something? Like
I have.
anonymous, right? Is something
You
like
are
that?
anonymous, and it's oh, I just lost my screen for a second. So it's two people in a video, and
Mm-hmm.
they can interact and write songs and talk and do whatever. And you just hit a
Right.
button, and it rotates to the next person, and it rotates to the next person. Kids love that, and they
Mm.
love to. But majority of this stuff is not age appropriate.
Mm.
The terms and conditions for using chat roulette, you must be 18 years old to use
Right.
chat roulette.
Right.
But no kid is, you can't have a contract with the minor. There's no way to
Mm.
verify the age of somebody when they click the I agree
Exactly.
button. So they're all
Exactly.
downloading stuff. And unfortunately, the other part of my shock and awe is that any legal violation that happens based upon a terms of service violation is back to the parents. So,
Really? Wow.
so
And what if it's
here's the,
beyond your knowledge? Wow.
so, and I'm going to explain. This is what parents don't understand. And I had this conversation in an intervention last night.
Mm-hmm.
Who has the contract for this device?
Parents.
Parents. I signed on the terms of service with Verizon or AT&T or Sprint or whomever.
Mm-hmm.
Now I've taken this device and I've given one to my daughter who is a minor.
Right.
You cannot engage in a legal contract with the minor. So anything on that
Exactly.
minor's phone is my phone because it's my contract.
Yep.
So
Explained it to you.
if a child
Mm-hmm.
takes an inappropriate photo and forwards it, now
Mm-hmm.
that's called trafficking porn. But the parent is trafficking the porn because it's their stuff.
So they'll
So
be the bearer of all the
both of them.
violation. Wow.
Yeah. So the child is going to be written up for a felony, and the parent is going to be put up as a felony, and they're also going to be put on the national predators list.
I don't think parents are aware of this. Definitely.
Oh,
not.
I'm sure not. When I make that presentation on Periscope, they're like, "No way." I'm like,
Yeah.
"You can choose." Ignorance of the law is no defense in the court. And I'm putting blog posts and I'm making posts on Facebook and say, here's another situation where a parent's going to jail based upon what their kids did on their phone. Here's another one happened in
Yeah.
Tennessee, happened in North Carolina. They
Yeah,
don't know.
I'm glad you're sharing this with me, because seriously, there are some new information that I got from our discussion right now, which I think I'll address with my students, because I think they are oblivious to this threat. They just think about the excitement of meeting a new people and making acquaintance. And you know what? Here's something interesting, because 2 days ago there was this lab, and one of the speakers is actually a teenage boy. He wasn't teenager. I think he's about 18 years old, and he was confessing that he's been receiving pictures, nude pictures from 13 and 14 years old girls, and he was being open about it, saying like, "Well, I didn't ask for it. The girl just sent it to me through Snapchat and all this thing." I was thinking he doesn't have a sense of remorse at all when he was talking about. He says that, and I share with my friend, and that was even more shocking because he doesn't feel remorse at all, saying like it's nothing wrong because it's their consent. I didn't force them, so why should it be a problem for me?
Well, unfortunately, I have an opinion on that. You may disagree with it, but
Right.
I don't hesitate from sharing my opinion. That is a societal breakdown where human life has been devalued, that things that were once sacred are now disposable. And that has emerged into our family. You know it firsthand that the family unit is a broken unit. A husband and wife are, you've got blended families, you've got more students with broken marriages and multiple dynamics that foster that kind of thinking, that the parents are disengaged to various degrees, that in your school system, I guarantee you they're probably not allowed to go to the soda machine and buy a Coke because the kids aren't responsible on how they can drink or eat food, but they can go right down to the nurse's station and get a contraceptive.
Exactly, right.
So what we're saying in our society is we want to control what you put in your body through legislation, too much salt, too much sugar, but we think you're responsible enough to make decisions about what to do with your body. So right now, sexual promiscuity, remorse regarding that kind of activity is non-existent because society says you're responsible enough. It's okay. It's okay. On the other side, you can't eat those corn chips and you can't drink that 22 ounce of soda.
Such irony.
It's well, this is what happened. This is what happened to Rome. It's what happened to Rome back in 100 AD. Right. But I want to help parents, regardless of their dynamic, if it's a blended family, if it's a broken family, empower them to see that if you don't have a plan and expect that nothing is going to happen, then that's okay. That's a wish. That's fairy tales and unicorns. That's okay. I guarantee you that if you gave me your kid's ID, whether it be Twitter or Facebook or something, I could find some horrible stuff within 6 mouse clicks.
I think with the such prevalence about all this thing online, I mean, it will be kind of tough for them when it comes to finding job in the future because I would say that employers can simply have easy access to what they have been doing, all this, and the regression of what they've done. That would definitely impact how you're gonna get the job prospect in the future. So yeah.
So on my site, I have a couple of stories about kids who made Twitter posts,
right?
And they were precluded from. They lost a college scholarship. One kid lost a football scholarship because of something he said on Twitter. Another kid lost an academic scholarship because of something he said on Twitter, and it lasts forever. And as an employer or as an institution, I would want to see somebody's social media presence determine if they represent the ethic that I want within my organization.
Exactly. Yep.
And if you're out there doing upside down keg stands and doing whatever, that may be all right for one culture organization, not for the culture that I want to bring.
Exactly. I think this is something that the students and adolescents they are not aware of this because I was talking to some of my students and they were telling me that and we're just having fun and then they will delete it. But here's the thing, they don't realize that despite the fact that they have deleted or do not trying to erase all the trails online, digital imprint of what you have done is being recorded and they have all the analytics. And this is something that kids, even parents are not aware of. And I think this is something that I'm trying to tell my students. You can't simply just brush things off just like that.
So
it doesn't work that way.
Help me understand, in what capacity are you talking to the students? Are you talking to them as a teacher, as part of your curriculum, or are you talking to them as an impassioned person to want them to be aware? How are you? What capacity are you talking to them?
Well, because I'm actually one of the IT coordinators in my school, and what we do is we have this annual gathering, and what we do is that we select and elect some students to be like mentor for this awareness. So in that sense, we want the students to understand that there are so many issues and we can't just do this alone as adults. As students themselves or as as adolescents, they need to understand that they are also the bearer of the responsibility of whatever they are doing online. They are the netizens, and it is not simply just because they are a minor. They should be taken off with the responsibility of what they're doing. And I mean, as much as I know that the role that I'm playing is not much, but I felt that, it's something like the story about the starfish. Like you try to throw starfish back to the sea. You can't simply just get all them back to the sea. But at least if one starfish is able to survive, you're making a difference somebody's life, and that's what I'm trying to do. At least I can save someone from the repercussion of their work.
But that's not what your employment position is, right?
Exactly yeah.
Well, I honor you for what you're doing. I think that's a very difficult thing to do with inside the institution. It's a huge challenge with your population, your kids. It's needed, and I applaud you for what you're doing, because it's where the parents are falling down, and it's a burden that you've taken on, which that's a gift. So
yeah, and I think it's also based from my own experience, because when I started using the internet, the awareness of this responsibility was not prevalent. It was not really that obvious for me. So at one time, I basically set up this meeting with someone, and it turned out that he turned out to be a creepy guy. So I felt that based on the experience, I just felt that I need to spread this awareness that I could be raped because of this, and if I can't actually help someone by spreading the message, then I think someone needs to spread this message, and this is something that I'm trying to do at school. And I think what you're doing is such an honorable thing. Seriously.
Thank you. Is there a way that I can support you in reaching out to your kids? I mean, I'll give you access to my site so you can see. I've got free content in there, and then I've paid content. It's a membership site, and actually, the school should pay you to gain access to it. It's cheap enough. It's like $30, and you get all of this stuff.
Sure, I'll have a look at it, and we'll see.
But if there's a way that through a webinar or something, that if you have time with a group of kids, I'd be pleased to schedule a webinar that, or a blab, or a hangout, or whatever makes sense.
Sure. I'll definitely check it out. That's the website, right?
This is
the school.
So what that is because I was having a lot of people on scope. I put and I had parents and I had kids. And yesterday was very active on scope for me because I was dealing with a very traumatic situation. So I put that offer together just for the people in the Periscope audience. And I thought, here, I've got all these modules. And I said, forget it. Right. You don't need to buy a module. Just get into the whole thing and start fixing your family. So that's
great. I'll definitely check it out, and then we'll see if we can actually collaborate in the future.
I would love that, because I am partnering with. I want to partner with academic, particularly if you're on the research side. I've got research papers in there that'll support what you're trying to accomplish. Looking for contributors. I'm partnering with an attorney that can help speak to the legal risks for parents. Great. So he'll be on a scope upcoming shortly. But please check it out. Thanks for coming in, Nora. I appreciate it.
I do have to go now. It was so nice talking to you. And seriously, the discussion is an eye-opener. And I really hope that more parents will benefit from this, seriously, because you're doing such a great job at doing this. And I just wish the best for you. Really.
All right. Thank you so much. And please follow me if you can on Twitter.
Sure, I will.
Be good.
I will.
Thanks so much for coming in, Nora. Take care. Ammon, are you in there? Are you? Did you want to take a seat? Oh, I think you jumped off. Yeah. Okay.